This episode of the podcast is brought to you by our store. If you haven't checked out our store lately, got a lot of cool things on there. Some of the recent products we've added are the Truly Heal PEMF machines from Truly Heal, Marcus Freudenman. We've done a couple of shows with him. The oxygen concentrators from Promo Life. And these are ways that you can make your own oxygen. So if you want to rebound or exercise with oxygen, they call it EWAT therapy. You can do that. You can use them for your ozone machines. We also have the Raw Chef fermentation course. We've got the accelerated silver, the Magnetico sleeping pads that you can put on the top of your bed, or a Wellness Shine, which helps to remineralize your teeth. So if you have any teeth issues, that is a great product for you to use. We've got the Scalar Energy Rest Shields, which are the little pyramids that you can put by your bed, created by Ken Rolla using scalar technology to help you sleep and to reduce EMF exposure. We've got the Soul CBD oils, all kinds of really cool stuff in our store. So make sure to check our store out. And we're also brought to you by the brand new Academy that we're going to be launching very soon. If you guys want to dive deeper into our work that we do here at Extreme Health Radio, to practical approaches to how to heal yourself, we're going to be launching an Academy very soon with people providing courses. I'm going to be doing some courses. We're going to be teaching all kinds of really in-depth information on how to take care of your certain organs in your body, different health challenges that you might have. There's going to be a community in there, monthly calls. We might even do seasonal cleanses that will be overseen by doctors, all kinds of cool stuff going on in the Academy. And the best part about it too is that you're going to be able to connect with other people and really, really share what's working for each person. It's going to be a great place. I'm really excited about it. Get answers to all of our health questions that we can find and get quickly and easily. So it's going to be a great place. If you're interested in the Academy, there'll be a link to the Academy on this show page, which is extremehealthradio.com/520. Process, and I will mute both of us and we'll get going.
All righty.
Awesome. This will be fun. Okay, here we go. All right, thanks everybody for joining us on this amazing spring day in 2017. I hope you guys are having a great day wherever you are, whatever you're doing today. Today we're going to be talking with Adam Bergstrom, and he's a good friend of the show. Done many, many shows with us. We love Adam. We love the work that he does. And today, let me pull up the topic. I just had it up on my screen. We're going to be talking about affirmations, living on time to manifest. So this will be a lot of fun to talk with him about this. I hope you guys enjoy the show. It sounds like you do. Whenever he's on, we get a lot of feedback. So Adam Bergstrom is just an awesome, awesome guy. So this will be a great show. Let me find out what number this is. This is episode 520. So if you guys want to listen to the show on the website or visit the sponsors to the show or just check out the show page itself for any links that we might talk about, you can just go to extremehealthradio.com/520 and you can check that out. And Adam's websites are solartiming.com, sunsyncnutrition.com, and he does seminars. Or I don't know if he still does seminars across the United States, but he's been at this since about 1977. 50 years he has experience in the health and nutrition field, counseling people. So this is going to be a good show, good fun show. We love Adam Bergstrom. Let me turn his microphone up and the sound down. There we go. Adam, can you hear me okay?
Back in the pit with the nits and the grits.
Oh, my goodness. This is so great. I'm so glad that our technical issues from our last show are behind us now. It seems good.
You're coming in clear.
So how are you doing this spring of 2017? How's the spring where you are?
Really good. It's kind of foggy today. We're even supposed to get some rain, but we'll see.
Wow. Rain, it hasn't rained down here for quite some time. We had an amazing winter, didn't we?
We sure did. It looks like the drought is officially over, though the reservoirs are still a bit low.
I thought we needed some ungodly amount of rain, like for years and years of just daily rain in order to get us back up to baseline. Did I hear that wrong, or?
This supposedly is the wettest year since 1895. So
right?
The trouble is it all ran off is a lot of the problem.
Oh, that's right.
They don't have a good way to collect it, like cisterns and all kinds of things. You know, they could save the water. It just runs right off into the ocean.
Yeah, wouldn't that be a good thing for humans to figure out how to do a little bit better to save all the rainwater? Wouldn't that be a good idea?
Not only that, but they could actually collect it right from the air. There's trillions of tons of water circulating, and there are machines, very simple ones, that can be built that would take the water right out of the air, now, even in the desert.
Yeah, I've heard about that. You know, I saw something online a while back. I've seen a couple different machines. You probably know all about them. There's one machine that looks like one of those sparklets, water things that you put in your kitchen. And then I saw another one that was like it was like a sports water bottle that you can take out with you hiking or mountain bike riding. Have you seen that?
I have seen that, yes.
Isn't that incredible?
Handy ideas. Now, if you ever get a chance, go to YouTube and check out a guy named John Nordberg. He's got the most ingenious ways of he could actually rehydrate the entire Sahara Desert.
Okay, I'm going to do that. What is his name? I'm on YouTube right now. John
Nordberg.
How do you spell his last name?
Nordberg, and he may be hard because you remember Nordberg was the guy that O.J. Simpson played in those comedy series about the police department.
Oh, is that right? That's funny.
It's not that Nordberg.
This guy looks like a relatively young guy, and it says there's something about crowdfunding for him. So maybe it's this is the guy you're talking about.
He might be doing it. He's got a series of about 30 YouTube videos, starting with, he's got an idea. He actually has invented a way to have universal power. It's basically a machine that does that. But nobody's listening to him. And when you look at his videos, you're going to see this guy is a nerd's nerd. He is so nerdy that it's really hard to listen to him. But when you do listen to him, he is some kind of a savant.
Really? You think so? Yeah, I've never heard of this guy, but he's got Understanding Time, the Grand Unifications of Physics, Photons and Spherical Waves, Fusion Power Plants, and Desert Ossification Atmospheric Water Generators. Whoa.
You got the guy. Yeah, you got the guy. I first heard him on Art Bell years ago, and was so fascinated with him that I've followed him ever since. His website and everything.
Wow. Now, is he able to do some of the, invent some of the technology that he's coming up with, or
he has patents for it? He was doing this stuff when he was in high school. He invented, first of all, he has some kind of a device that will actually, you buy it for about $20 in Radio Shack, and will it disprove one of the major laws of physics? So he's a really interesting guy.
So wait, one of his devices does that? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. He would show anybody to go to Radio Shack and do this device. Now, I'm not electronically inclined, but Vibrant Gal here, she could probably do it easily if she just followed the instructions. Anyway, he's just fascinating. Those Art Bell way back 2 shows. I even recorded him on cassette tape. I was so fascinated with him.
Oh my goodness.
And anyway, he's just amazing. But again, he's very nerdy. You got to listen to him. He's got it organized in a certain way. But if you look at his facts, they're really cool.
Aren't there some just amazing people out there doing just things that, if it weren't for the Art Bell show, which was a great show, I think he's still doing it, by the way, but there's just some awesome people out there that no one's really ever heard of. It's pretty amazing.
They are out there. Look at Bill Mollison, the guy in Australia there. He has plans for the Trump, where we could run our automobiles from air pressure alone, no gasoline or whatever. And you generate it right out of the ground by running water down into the ground, and it super cools it, and then you pump up your car and get about 300 miles per gallon with air. And the entire city of Chicago was run that way until the oil companies came along, burned all the books across the world and all the libraries. There are those conspiracies.
Yeah, I remember you mentioned that one time, the entire city of Chicago, and what year was this?
I'd say back in 1890s, and the New York subway was run that way too, and they quickly got rid of that with the political machines of that time. The oil companies are in cahoots. Even up here, we have the railroad won't allow the people to come up into Santa Barbara from Ventura until the city of Santa Barbara okays the oil company to make their train come through here after the spill. You may have heard some of that, but
right.
It's dirty politics.
Dirty politics. Yeah, it goes on, doesn't it? I mean,
so we have deliberately this big gridlock here that's caused because the railroad will schedule their trains so a commuter from work can't take it.
Wow, what a weird world we live in. Isn't that just bizarre?
And this railroad company was started by Abraham Lincoln, but it's gone afoul since then.
Wow.
In fact, when the head of the company met Arnold Schwarzenegger years ago, he said, "We're not going to do anything you say because we were around before California became a state."
Oh, my goodness.
So they're pretty egotistical.
That's crazy. So are you doing any spring gardening, any planting this year, this time of year for you?
We would love to. We're trying to get, we want an angel investor to give us a place here so we can open the Santa Barbara School of Self-Healing.
Oh, wow.
We'll see what happens. Bill and Hillary are selling their house up here for $28.5 million.
That's
and
it?
Ellen DeGeneres is selling her house for $48 million.
Why are all the people leaving?
Some are coming in as fast as they're leaving. We have all kinds of celebrities here. This is kind of the New World Order center of the world. We even have the main advisor and the guy who saved Trump, Thomas Barrack, is up here regularly.
Really?
He also saved Michael Jackson's butt with the Neverland Ranch. He owns it now and is selling that too up in Santa Ynez.
Wow. So Bill and Hillary have a house there, and that was they're selling it for $28 million, you said?
Yep, right next to Conan O'Brien and George Lucas and Kevin Costner.
Wow. And who was the other people? Ellen is selling her house.
She's selling her house. She's doubling it. She basically is a serial house swapper or flipper.
Really?
She flips them regularly. She's making a ton of money. She's way worth more than Oprah is these days.
Oh, is that what you think? Really?
Yep. But Oprah, in fact, she needed money, so she sold a painting or a statue for $125 million and made a cool $66 million on the deal.
Oprah did this.
So, anyway,
Wow.
They have a lot of money. We'd like just a little donation. They're donating to cancer and everything, and we've got many secrets of longevity right here in this little cracker box where we're living.
That would be amazing, wouldn't it? Wow. So if you had a facility like that, obviously it would come with land as well. You would start doing some major gardening and growing fruits and vegetables and things?
Vibrant Gal is ready to go. We would have fruit trees and all kinds of things. We, fortunately, buy everything from the farmer's market, virtually 90%. I haven't been in a supermarket for since New Zealand was the last time I was in a supermarket.
Really?
3 years ago, whenever that was.
Wow. So you do everything. You buy all your fruits and veggies. And what about your meats and things like that? Do you get that there as well?
Well, at this point, we're pretty much vegetarians, but we could get it there. They sell them there. And I'm not against meat eating. And, of course, I teach Sun Sync Nutrition, where it's more important when you eat a food than what you eat a food. Mm-hmm. And there's been longevity diets for meat eaters. There's been longevity diets for vegetarians, like the Turban Tornado. He was running marathon races at 101 years old,
I remember.
And he eats dal and rice, basically, and a little milk once in a while.
What is that famous quote by Michael Pollan? It's something like, eat whole foods or organic foods and mostly plants or something. What was a...
That's pretty much it. That's the key. If you eat natural foods, you're doing okay.
Yeah, mostly
and don't
plant-based.
get too fanatical. Sometimes a vegan can survive quite nicely if they really know what they're doing. A lot of vegans, unfortunately, don't, and they're misled. But they can live, and they have.
So you're doing right now a mostly vegan or vegetarian?
I'm doing vegetarian. We make sure we get our butter and our eggs. I do eat eggs. So really, technically, I'm an ovo-lacto vegetarian.
Okay. So you're not doing any well, you're doing dairy with butter and eggs.
That's right. And that can be done now. However, vegans are elephants and water buffaloes. Look how strong they are. So they manage to take the free-form amino acids and convert them into protein, and human beings can do that too. In fact, we can make protein out of our own ammonia and sugar. And they don't tell you that, but that was discovered by a Nobel Prize winner back in 1902 or so.
How does that happen? Between ammonia and sugar, like some kind of ammonia you already have in your body?
That's right. In fact, if you do a little exercise, you generate the ammonia within you or get a little alkaline, then you go and eat a potato, as we do. We eat potatoes every night, and it makes our own protein. It builds the protein on the spot by dextrinizing the potato, which means cooking it without a foil. It sugarizes it, and then the sugar from the potato is neutralized and turned into glucose, and it combines with the ammonia. We have protein.
And you do the white potatoes, right?
White potatoes, and sometimes I prefer the Japanese white sweet potatoes. They're really good.
Yeah, I love the sweet potatoes. I know there's a big difference, isn't there?
There's a difference, but they're good. They're still good foods, either one. Sometimes too much beta-carotene can actually block your absorption of vitamin A. You know, it used to be thought that, you can just easily get your vitamin A out of beta-carotene, but then all these cases of cancer started showing up when people started supplementing with it, and they found out that's true in nature too. So being orange is not your highest choice.
So you got to make sure you don't do too much carrot juice, I guess, then, right?
Too much can be a problem. You know, a little bit is good. You know, it can work against cancer and a lot of diseases, but there is a limit to everything.
You know,
everything in moderation.
It's interesting. There's I've heard people talk about with carrot juice, for cancer and things like that. Isn't there a lot of sugar in carrot juice?
Well, the sugar is good. Otto Warburg has been grossly misinterpreted because glycolysis is what you want, is what you don't want. You want the sugar to burn clean. What Otto Warburg discovered is that sugar or fats do not burn clean. They make lactic acid. A clean sugar burn will not. In fact, there is not a single ketosis diet where there's been a long case of longevity yet. But since it's new to the human race, we'll see what happens. I'm waiting for the super centenarians to show up.
Oh, wow. That's interesting you said that about keto. I want to get back to that. We have a question from Alex Blum via Facebook. Just before the show, I went on Facebook and just said, hey, we're going on with Adam Bergstrom. Is there anything you want us to ask him about your health or other topics? And Alex writes in, this kind of goes in line with what we're talking about right now. What type of diet does he recommend for opening up detox pathways before and after safe mercury removal? Also, any advisable methods for protecting the heart from mercury? So it sounds like maybe Alex is having his mercury removed by a biological dentist of some sort, and he wants to know about detoxing before with the proper diet.
Timing, that is what does it. And by the way, the homeopathic diet does not have any detox. The whole thing is anti-detox. Samuel Hahnemann wrote his original book in 1806 or so, and the whole idea of heroic medicine and detox, he threw out the window. I believe in both. We need a policeman to catch a thief and a thief to catch a thief. So both are valid. The best detox you can do, since mercury goes to various places in your body, is timing. The timing puts things in flow. You don't get these eddies of little pools that grow your algae, and that's an analogy of what happens in the body. And it completely goes through. If you eat a morning meal and a midday meal and a nighttime meal on time, each one pushes the other out and helps the mercury go through your body. So mercury, which used to be, remember, back 100 years ago, it was a medicine. They were giving it in large amounts to people. And mercury is not the things in vaccines that causing problems. It's the vaccines themselves.
Oh, really? I want to get back to that because that sounds really interesting. But so would you recommend for Alex just the standard types of things that people know about for detoxification, chlorella, maybe these types of things, or, what types of food would you recommend to go along with that? The timing.
Eat tree foods in the morning. Eat bush foods and grain foods in the middle of the day. and eat your root foods at night, and go toward the fruits. The fruits are biological Clorox. They tend to clean your body better than anything else. It's like taking a sponge and washing all the junk off, like sponge and vinegar. So that's my best advice. All of the other ones, the herbs and things, they're wonderful, but herbs are mostly designed to build and neutralize toxins that way by blocking it. But they don't get them out of your body. They tend to store them. Now, there's always exceptions to the rule in cathartics and purgatives and things like that. But those are sometimes a little tougher on the body than they could be. When you put things on time, it's like your car. If your car isn't on time, you're going to get carbon deposits, carbon in your tailpipe. Everything is going to work off. That's why the guy in the auto factory who times the cars gets the highest pay.
Interesting. Okay.
And the tree, see, the nature eats light. It eats light, and the trees get it first. The ground gets it next, and the plants that grow up to about 4 feet tall, your berries, your grasses, those kind of foods, your herbs that you grow in your garden, the tomatoes, all of that, midday foods. And then your roots get the infrared leftovers. So the roots you eat at night, and if you follow that pattern, and it doesn't have to be fanatical, 80% of this will be natural. Some foods are more neutral than others. Some foods have been made more neutral by genetics. Like the companies have been doing genetic manipulation since 1888. We're not generally taught that, but that's what's been going on.
That's interesting. Any ideas for protecting the heart from mercury outside of what you were just saying?
Well, the heart meridian comes in 2 times. The heart meridian is from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m., so that shows you want to protect the heart at that time. And then the second heart is the heart is not a pump heart. Mm-hmm. That is from 7 at night till 9 o'clock. So your midday meal at that time will cleanse the heart, and your nighttime meal will take care of your venous system. Your arterial system mainly goes with the heart meridian, and your circulation sex pericardium meridian from 7 to 9 is your liver. So cleaning your liver is utmost for cleaning anything out, because many people who have emphysema, instead of them saying, well, it's too late, your lungs are gone, all they have to do is rebuild their liver, and their lungs are completely gone, all the emphysema that they had. So the liver is of prime importance. It's the super organ. I know a case of someone who had 1% liver functioning, and they rebuilt the entire liver, and they're out there jogging today.
Wow, that's interesting.
1%. Now, the doctors will admit 20%. You can lose 80% and have 20% left and rebuild your liver. And the amazing thing about these organs that do that, like the liver, they regrow to the same size they were before. And if you took a second person and hooked them up to that liver, the liver would grow exactly twice as big to fulfill the duties of 2 people. Isn't that interesting?
That's interesting. Yeah. It not only it rebuilds itself, but it rebuilds itself to the full size. That's crazy.
That's why cancer is basically our evil twin, as John Beard, the gynecologist, proved years ago, that it basically is growing a baby without the father being present. And that is both a baby grown in a man and a woman would have all the equipment to grow a baby, except, of course, men don't, because they have those channels closed off. Mm-hmm. But they have a uterus, just as we do, and it's the origin of the dong, basically the sea of chi, they call in martial arts.
Fascinating stuff. I want to get into the affirmations and creating and manifesting and things, but one other question, Donna Briggs says, does he take any supplements, or is there no need to if you follow timed eating?
If you follow time exactly, then you don't need to, because all the vitamins and minerals are there. But there is a case sometimes in emergencies. Currently, I'm taking a vitamin E supplement. Mm-hmm. I experiment with these different ones. We're short on K and E and some of the vitamins in our environment, and there's a place for them. Mm-hmm. I'm not against supplements. I just really don't need them anymore.
No, but what happens, Adam, if the food that you're eating doesn't have as much minerals in the soil, so that it doesn't get into the vitamins and minerals, I should say, into the, different fruits and vegetables you're eating. How does that work?
I'm going to get flack on this, but all you need is one atom of every element in the periodic table to sustain you, and everything else is acceleration. That's why yogis can hold their breath for 40 days under the ground. This has been fully documented by the British military, who thought they were lying, who thought it was astounding, and figured, well, it's just an Indian guy, so if he dies and he's stupid enough to do that, we'll preside over his death. Well, the guy came out alive, and they shot off a 21-gun salute, and they gave him a whole bunch of money, and the British were astounded by the things the Indians can do. The Indians, when the British went over there, they would get bitten by a scorpion, and their only cure was to put toxic metals on it to neutralize the poison, but it would make a big hole in the wound. Any Indian peasant would come along and just wave his arm 5 times over it, and all the poison would be localized right there and not travel through the blood. And they couldn't even say how they did it. But the British, of course, they were smart enough to go to the lowly peasant, the untouchables, and get the cure, because they couldn't do anything, and they would die if they didn't. The scorpions there are pretty toxic. They would die if they didn't get cured.
That's crazy. I just wrote into Google, yogi holding breath, you said for 40 days?
40 days. There's records for 13 days, 40 days, and anyone who does a search on the internet will find out that I'm not talking through my hat.
Well, it says here, how can a man hold his breath for 22 minutes from Daily Mail, and then self-hypnosis, or there's what happened to, let's see, yogi stops his heart for 6 weeks, returns to life. Wow.
That's right. Those stories are there. Now, I heard the story about the 40 days a long time ago, but I never could find the evidence, so I didn't believe it until I started going back into the old books. Now that the internet is like the Akashic record, you can find anything you want. So the records are there in full. The documents are there. The books are there. The histories of one British officer who actually learned the technique himself.
Really?
So it can't be too hard if a Westerner could come in and learn it. Back then, there were mesmeric hospitals. There was an entire hospital run in India by a British guy who was curing people by just waving his arms in front of them. No suggestion. When hypnosis invented suggestion, they threw out the baby with the bathwater. And, well, actually, they kept the bathwater. They threw out the baby.
Kept the bathwater. That's funny.
Hypnosis is just not what it was before. They have, in fact, now a doctor will approve of you being hypnotized so that you can accept your cancer. Oh, I'm happy that I have cancer. But before, they used to cure people with hypnosis.
Yeah, it was called more mesmerism, wasn't it?
Yeah, mesmerism. See, Mesmer was considered unscientific because he believed in astrology and a bunch of other things.
Okay.
But he actually could just first he started using magnetic rods and things like that. But then he realized the magnetism was coming from within. He also realized that the magnetism was within the other person, so he didn't have to have super energy to do that. His main student after that in France decided that you could weaken yourself by doing that. The two men were using two different forces. One was the Kundalini force, which is limited, and the infinite one was the Cosmodyne force or synchronicity force. That everybody can basically act like a jumper cable to jump somebody else without sparing but a fraction of their own energy. And that was done regularly. There's probably, I might not be exaggerating if I said 1 million cases of mesmeric phenomena that were going on. Lafayette was a promoter of and a healer. The Lafayette from the Revolution, as was Charles Dickens. A whole bunch of celebrities at that time were mesmerists.
Mesmerist. That's so interesting because you don't hear that word anymore. It's mainly just hypnotism. You don't hear, but everyone seems to know and has heard of that term.
Yes, they have, and yet they think we're taught in school. Oh, that was something people believed in the past, and actually it still works today. But you have to get through the belief of the person. There was a case in 1951 where a man was presented with a boy who had like a skin condition, a serious skin condition, and he thought it was a rash. So he asked the doctor who was working on him, can I use hypnotism? And the doctor sarcastically said yes, because he knew that the boy had no sweat glands. It was the congenital disease. Well, guess what? The doctor, through hypnotism, gave him back his sweat glands. So that was very embarrassing to the other doctor. And that boy is still alive in San Francisco now.
Wow.
From 1951. Last I heard.
Now, do you get hypnotized, or do you see anyone in that regard, in your area? Do you do any of these things?
Because once you hypnotize a person, you're stuck with them for life. It's much more personal than sex. I advise self-hypnosis, self-mesmerism. We can do it ourselves. The techniques, meditation, are usually just relaxation technique, but you push it to the next level. As my mentor, Swami Nitty-Gritty, said, most people can relax through meditation, but a professional knows the difference. And there is a difference.
Say that again. Most people can relax through meditation? Is that what you said?
They just are doing relaxation. They're not doing meditation. Meditation, you make changes. You can drop your blood pressure. My mentor, actually at the Menninger Foundation, could drop his temperature in his hand 14 degrees within 2 inches of each other on the palm of his hand, as Swami Rama could.
Wow, so meditation is it's not just sitting and staying quiet and focusing on your breath and clearing your mind. It's actually doing something?
That's the old TM model, where people just think they're relaxing and they feel a little better and that kind of thing. And it works. There's nothing wrong with it. In fact, the state of Arizona put in little chairs where truck drivers could go and relax for 20 minutes. Then an alarm clock would go off, because they knew beyond 20 minutes you would get into brain states that weren't healthy for you. The first 20 minutes is when most of the lactic acid drops. That's why when I heard people talk about Otto Warburg and the people who are taking lactic acid for health, I wondered why. It was basically the devil when I was a transcendental meditator. Why is suddenly it good? Why should I get lactic acid out of yogurt when it's actually harmful to me? I'm doing everything to meditate to get rid of it.
Right.
That's a good question to ask. Lactic acid is one of the most harmful things in our human body, and a good athlete learns to overcome it. In other words, a good athlete can run several miles and they won't generate any lactic acid. Someone who is not used to working out goes to the gym. That first day they haven't worked out for a year. Holy cow, does it hurt? That's lactic acid.
Lactic acid building up in your muscles, right? And then it stays there, right?
They claim, the bodybuilding community, that's actually muscle tears and lactic acid goes away. My question is, as I had a conversation with a former Mr. America about this, where does the lactic acid go? Because they don't know where to measure it. There are levels within our body, like a Russian nesting dolls, that exactly mimic the periodic table of the elements. First, second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh. That's the origin of the chakras. It's totally biological, not fictional. And if you look at, if you want to go to the cell, you go to the fourth level. You want to go to the lymph, you go to the third period. That's where sodium and chloride are. And then you go to the second for the blood. All of that is in the periodic table if you know how to read it. And it even tells you which ones are acid, which one are alkalines, and which mineral level to clean. So if you want to clean lead out, you have to go to the fifth period of the fifth period of the periodic table, and if you want to clean uranium out of your body, you have to go to the sixth level.
So fascinating. So it would be a good idea for people to do some meditation after a workout or after a long run to help get rid of lactic acid, even if they're just doing the kind of meditation that you're talking about, where you're just kind of slowing down and breathing, right?
Exactly. And even at nighttime, they could breathe into a paper bag, because the carbon dioxide pushes the oxygen inward. They used to bring up an air tank up to Everest when they climb. Now they bring carbon dioxide, and you breathe into carbon dioxide, because they accidentally found that when they were given oxygen up there, the person had a bag over their head, and they were basically suffocating themselves with oxygen, and that cured them better than anything else. So now they just bring a little packet of carbon dioxide out, forget the oxygen, and they can climb Everest.
Oh, that is so fascinating. Hey, Adam, let's take a break here really quick. I'm going to go to the restroom, and I'm going to come back, and I want to talk about the affirmations and living on time to manifest. How's that sound?
You bet, since we did get diverted a little bit.
A little bit, but it's too much fun, you know? It's like it's too difficult to stay on track sometimes. Okay, we'll be right back. Through the magic of technology, while I am going to the bathroom and we're taking a little bit of a break here, I wanted to tell you about the Rapid Release Pro 2. This thing is awesome. As many of you guys know, I had a really debilitating back injury in the gym a few years ago now, and it was so bad that I couldn't even walk. And I've had a couple flare-ups since then, and the most recent flare-up I had was where I re-injured my back in the shower, and I pinched my nerve or something happened, and it was so bad that I couldn't even walk. I could not even walk after about 7 days. Typically in my flare-ups, I've had times where after 3 or 4 days it starts to get better, but after 7 days I was worse. I was moving. It took me an hour to get from one room to the next in our place, and I could not even walk. And then I used this Rapid Release Pro 2, a lady local who uses this. A lot of chiropractors are starting to use this machine and this technology. It's high vibrational frequency technology that you can use for really any kind of pain in your body. But she used it on my back, and it changed everything. I went from not even being able to move. My range of motion in my back was probably a couple inches. I just couldn't move. I couldn't sit. I couldn't stand. I couldn't walk. It was just, I couldn't get into any position where I didn't have shooting pain in my nerves and my back. And it was so painful. And I couldn't even lay down for her to do this therapy on me with a rapid release. But then she used it on me, and I could tell a difference immediately, and I started to heal. It was just amazing. People can use it after workouts to relieve headaches. You can use it on your face to help strengthen the muscles in your face, to release pinched nerves in your back, get rid of lower back pain, get rid of trigger points or dissolve calcification. I use it on my joints. I use it over all my organs before I go to bed. I'm thinking people could use it after surgery, maybe to speed healing, and it calms sore muscles and helps speed up healing in sore tendons. Helps to break up scar tissue, in my opinion. It's just an amazing tool to have. If you have a family where people are getting injured, or if you want to just have really great maintenance on your body and on your organs, check out the Rapid Release. It's in our store. I'll put a link to it on this show page, extremehealthradio.com/520. Okay, Adam, you still there?
I am here.
Awesome. Thanks for holding on. I just got to grab a swig of water, and we're back at it.
Alrighty.
Awesome. So affirmations, living on time to manifest. A lot of times people don't, when you hear about manifestation and when you hear about affirmations, I can almost guarantee that you never hear about living on time and how that, relates to both of those things. How does it relate?
Well, one reason that you can tell your meditation is working, it starts to rain. So right now it started raining while we're talking. So we know something's going on here. There's a direct calibration between the weather and ourselves. I studied with a man who could create rainbows and rain right out of thin air. And this can be done by us. We sell ourselves short. On Sunstick Nutrition, I'm writing a series now called Reclaiming Your Superpowers, because we all are born with superpowers, but our culture hypnotizes us to get rid of them. And in fact, it's to the benefit of the major, what's called the boring old patriarchs, to have us think that we're just ants or robots and that we're here to do their bidding. We are not. We have all the powers that anybody else has, of super athletes, of super brains, whatever.
That is interesting. So one of their sort of things that they're trying to do is to make us think that we don't have any of these superpowers, that we can't do or accomplish any of the things that we're talking about here today, right? Take
an example that I just read going through some of my old research from 1907. they had this basically what they called chambermaids back then. At this time. She had no education whatsoever, and she was afraid of public speaking and everything. So they hypnotized her and said, "You are Susan B. Anthony. Get up on stage and give this speech." So in front of a big audience, she gave a brilliant speech and bowed and gave that speech as a totally different consciousness than from what she thought she was born as. Actually, not born as, programmed as by childhood.
Okay, so here's a person who can't or thinks that they can't do a public speaking event and is deathly afraid of doing a public speech, and they hypnotize her as Susan B. Anthony, and then she goes up and gives the speech. So what do you think is happening? Is she pulling in some other consciousness into her body in order to accomplish that, or is she just simply removing the programming blocks that she's been taught her whole life? Like, what do you think's happening?
Exactly. It's the second, because the first thing, the programming that came in is telling her she can't do it. The other thing she's born with, almost like a blank slate. But she has not only her genetics, but the genetics of all of her relatives and all of the people horizontal to them as well, and all the future people in them at that time. As incredible as it sounds, we have superpowers, and we sell ourselves short.
Okay, this is fascinating. Okay, so with the actual DNA and genetics that somebody has, it goes back however far it goes back, but with that physical DNA that we have from our ancestors, we also have invisible maybe programming that comes with that physical DNA, and all this stuff is sort of dormant within us?
The DNA is actually just something to divert us. There's no such thing as molecular biology. It was invented by the Rockefeller Foundation back in the 1930s just to claim that there were receptor sites and sodium pumps. None of that exists. Yet we're all taught that in school about sodium pumps and about calcium pumps and about DNA. It all doesn't exist because DNA is dependent on proteomics and proteomics on glyconomics and ionomics and all these nomics. Basically, you heard the story about the person that said that the Earth was actually in space, was suspended by an elephant. The Earth was actually suspended by an elephant. And so the person said, well, what is that elephant standing on? And the person said, oh, no, you don't. It's elephants all the way down. So that's how it happens, too. We have unlimited potentialities, and we forget it. Now, the only way we tend to do it, though, is through genius. And the man of genius, as was written by a book in 1891 by Cesare Lombroso, is always damaged. Men of genius are always insane. If you read Lombroso's book on crime, you take everything from Beethoven on and find they were insane. But there are ways to not be idiot savants and actually use those powers when we get away from the idea our civilization makes it bad. You know, if you're going to live forever, you got to be a vampire or you got to be a werewolf. You can't be a healthy person living forever. That would break our laws, our cultural laws of keeping us in our place.
Interesting. Okay. So
think of a supernatural creature that doesn't have a downside to it as portrayed in the movies. They're always evil or bad.
I know, werewolves.
Because they live forever. Never a good guy who lives forever.
Wow. So what happens?
At least I haven't found it yet.
So what happens to all of these superpowers that we have? They just lay dormant our whole lives, and it's our karma, or it's our choosing to be here to see if we can fully manifest all these things?
If you take a person and hypnotize them, you make them do anything you want to. Now, some say that people won't do a crime that way, but there have been cases of crimes committed that way. That's why they realized that certain unscrupulous people would get in there and tell people to go rob the bank for me, and they could actually do that. Sometimes people have a discrimination, almost a ESP type, so they have told people to stab their friend and give them a play knife, and they'll stab their friend. But when they give them a real knife, they set the knife down. So,
oh no, Adam, are you still there? Hello.
They won't take their shoes off because it seems to be irreverent or irrelevant.
Hey, Adam, just a second ago, you cut out there for a second right after you're talking about putting the knife down, so we missed all of that.
Oh, boy. Okay. Yeah. Am I back?
Yeah, you're back now. I don't think you could hear me. Somehow you cut out, but I think we're good now.
Okay. In other words, we can be programmed to do just about anything we want to, including tests are done regularly where people are hypnotized and they can get a rash or make a rash go away and actually make the rash sign their name on their abdomen or even on their forehead or any part of the body they want to hypnotize a rash on, and then hypnotize it away. They have also hypnotized stigmata into a person's palms. They can hypnotize, they can hypnotize just about, blood pressure. Mm-hmm. Take blood pressure. That's common. They can say, you now have a blood pressure 10 points higher than it was before. Goes up. Okay, now you're hypnotized. You have a blood pressure 10 points lower than the original one. That's a 20-point spread. The person brings it right down. So we have that ability. A good friend of mine, by the way, here, she had high blood pressure, and she went to the doctor, and the doctor was going to prescribe medication, and she fell for it. Mm-hmm. But then she quit her job. Her blood pressure went back to normal. She didn't need it. And when she went back to the doctor accused her of getting her drugs somewhere else.
Oh, my gosh. Wow.
From another dealer. But as soon as she quit her job and started working for herself, she got rid of that problem.
That's funny. So in terms of hypnosis, even though it's not what it originally should have been in terms of mesmerism and things, is hypnosis something that someone could do and it would benefit them?
Well, James Esdale used to, once you put a person under hypnosis, then he could give them a glass of water, and then if they were 1,000 miles away, he could just drink the water and hypnotize them from a distance. So there are these controls, and you don't think the people who are running this planet know about those things? They certainly do.
Yeah.
Now, this almost sounds like the ravings of a madman, but I can assure you, if you go back into the old books, you'll find that these things are more than possible. They were done on a regular basis and are being done on a regular basis today. So I urge people to reclaim their Supermanship because they've got it.
So you're writing a book right now about this?
Yes, I am. Come to think of it. Might be a while. It's going to be basically the blog series that I already have going on Sunsync Nutrition. I'm up to number 12. And if you go back, I've done complete histories of mesmerism. I think I've got about 40 other blogs, totally on Sunsync Nutrition about that. By using the search function, anybody can find them.
Now, what would be the starting point if someone's listening to this and they want to learn how to manifest things in their life, if they want to learn how to re-engage with these dormant parts of themselves that they think are being untapped or unused? What do you think what's the first few steps that someone should take, do you think? Believe
and achieve. And the first thing to do is when you do an affirmation, you write it in the first person, the second person, and the third person. So if I was going to write, I, Adam, am a winner, and believe that, I've got the programming from other people that I'm not. So then I have to write, you, Adam, are a winner. And then I get programming from reading about a person like me in the newspaper. So to get rid of that, I would write, Adam is a winner. In other words, he, Adam, is a winner. Mm-hmm. So one classic technique of doing that is 3 times, I, Adam, am a winner, I, Adam, am a winner, I, Adam, am a winner. 3 times, you, Adam, are a winner. 3 times, Adam is a winner. And then go back to 6 times of Adam is a winner. That's a big start right there. The second, one of the most important affirmations is all statements are equally true. Because if you say, I'm going to make money right now, and someone says the economy is bad, you can say it isn't. But because people believe that all statements are not equally true, mm-hmm. That's the definition of Maya when you think of it. Maya is there is a difference. That's what Maya teaches us. But there is no difference because all is one. And so once you say all statements are equally true and believe it, it opens up a Pandora's box of anything you wish to get out of life.
Wow. Okay. So in terms of the affirmations that you were just talking about, would they write them down physically on pieces of paper, or could they do it on the computer? What do you think?
If they do it on a computer, that's perfectly okay. Just don't use the copy and paste function.
Oh, okay. So you actually have to type it. Okay.
Yeah. It may actually work. Who knows? Our consciousness is really strange in how it works. It's quantum. It's not linear. So we are taught to think linearly, and it's not that way at all.
Yeah. Very, very So if someone were to do this, they would do it every single day?
Every single day. I have a friend of mine who's materialized quite a nice lifestyle. All over the world, has no financial problems whatsoever, and he did it by simply writing affirmations every day. He would take 7 affirmations, write them 15 times. He's been doing it since the early 1980s probably, and does it to this day every day, and lives the lifestyle of what you call the rich and famous all over the world.
Now, is there any benefit? I have a thing that I kind of just made on my computer. I have this sort of meditation music that I have, and then with the audio software that I use to edit the shows, I recorded a bunch of affirmations, but I just did random stuff. So I just made a bunch of categories like health, happiness, relationships, wealth, and things like that. And I made a bunch of affirmations within that. And then I put those, I didn't really do any of that backward masking because I don't know how to do that, but I just lowered the volume of my affirmations that I recorded and put it behind the music. And then I'll listen to that sometimes when I meditate, or if I'm doing some stretching or some yoga or something where I'm just kind of in a zone. Do you think those are good, or is that a good way to help, do you think?
If music be the food of the soul, play on, play on. Music definitely affects us in the same way that march music gets people riled up. Rock and roll music makes people want to get up and stamp their feet, and classical music makes them want to sit down and relax. And New Age music too, the flute music, all of that, didgeridoo, etc. That's all beneficial. Now, what you're ultimately going to get from meditation is what's called the audible life stream. You will hear a ringing in your ears that will switch over to the right ear where it should be, and then it goes to the center of the forehead where you actually hear through the center of your forehead. It's no accident that the pineal gland has the same function as the otoliths in the ear. There are otoliths in there, and when people take fluorine, they don't calcify the pineal gland, they decalcify it. In the same way you apply fluorine to your teeth, you get mottled teeth, you get bone loss, you get all of that. Well, these little otoliths in the pineal gland and in the ears, called ear rocks and brain sand, they are beneficial and they help us gain these superpowers. It's no accident that the second major blood flow place other than the kidneys is the pineal gland.
Say that again, the second major blood flow place of the
More
body?
Blood flow goes through the kidneys than any other place except the pineal gland.
Is that right? Well, why does it become so small as we age then?
It's only 150 millimeters. That's its maximum to start, or milligrams. In other words, my calcium supplement's 20 times as big, if I was taking it, as the pineal gland. It's a little bitty critter there, but it's quantum. It works by calcium in it. It works like a Polaroid land camera. If you study the elements that Edward Land used in his Polaroid land camera, you'll find the principle of the pineal gland.
Isn't that so crazy for an organ or whatever it is to be so small but to have so much blood going? Does it just pass through it, or is it just, what's the deal with the blood? Like, how does that affect the pineal gland, and why is there so much blood going to it, do you think?
Because it's used. It's the main timer of our body. It's what happens. It's what gets messed up when you expose yourself to blue light in the evening.
Oh, okay.
So our blue light in the evening actually slows down a lot of our so-called psychic powers and synchronistic powers. Oh. So it's happening. You can override those because there's parts in the brain that are connected to the food clock, or the ventrocentral medius. We don't hear about that much. The satiety center, and that actually will prevent and protect us from the blue light. If we are, say you're at a job and you have to be exposed to blue light, if you eat on time and you're eating your root vegetables at night, you're buffered from that blue light.
What other foods can people eat at night other than root vegetables? Like, I think on your list you have like seaweed and foods that are in the ocean, because technically those would be under the ground, right?
You can eat those, and it's better to eat your warm water fish, because you won't get yellow fat disease from eating too much of it. Okay,
warm water fish. What types are those?
Let's see. Golly, since I'm not eating fish at this day.
Yeah, you're not a fish eater.
There are a whole bunch of fish in the Amazon that their flesh is like butter, just like butter. And of course, that's not going to give anybody a problem. Probably salmon is one of the worst fish. Tuna tends to be warmer, and the what do they call Hanapana, whatever they are in Hawaii. They have all those fish which are in Okinawa.
Yeah.
They are much less. And by the way, Okinawans do not eat fish. Only 1% is fish. Their longevity blue zone is not due to fish. It's ironically due to soy, but I wouldn't recommend it. Most people don't know, Americans don't know how to eat soy, and it's been mutated so much here, ever before they did the GMOs, that it didn't come over the same way as it was in Japan and Okinawa.
Wow. Do you think the Okinawans are, if they are eating a lot of soy, do you think that they would be better served, even though they're living a long time? Like, you know how, because a lot of people will say, well, so-and-so lived for, 130 years or 120 years, and so whatever he did, I should do. But just because someone lives a long time doesn't mean that necessarily what they're doing is beneficial. Do you think they would be better served doing something different?
I think they have the potential of living to 150 or so. And remember, Okinawa is one of the most toxic places in the world. The U.S. military has occupied it for a long time. They have toxified it with depleted uranium, with regular uranium, with not only Agent Orange, but did you know there was an orange blue, an orange green, an orange yellow? All of those are all over the place. Agricultural poisons, jet fuel, everything is all over. And yet those people still lived to a long time until now. They're down to number 28 because of fast foods have now entered Okinawa. It is no longer a blue zone.
Oh, man. You gotta love that, right? The old Burger King and Pizza Huts are over there now.
Yep. Now, on affirmations, to get back to the subject, why would a place like Santa Barbara here, the county, has 20% longer living people than the rest of California? And obviously, it's because people here are happier. We don't have fluoride in the water, things like that. But also, money is here. So people who have money generally, if they live a healthy lifestyle and eat correctly, then they're going to live longer. And the attitude is such that there is someone with a mansion here. She's now on cosmic vacation. At 105, she left. She had a mansion here. She was so rich, she never visited for the last 30 years of her life, and yet had a full staff of 30 people maintaining the mansion until that time. She donated to Santa Barbara finally when she left. But she preferred to live in a little hospital room in the middle of New York City when she had multiple mansions around the country.
Yeah, I remember
like
you
that.
saying that.
And she had fun collecting dolls, watching cartoons, did anything she wanted. Now, most people, they say, I'm happy with my job. I guarantee they're not. If they had $8 trillion and could do anything they want, they would not be happy with their job anymore. They wouldn't be doing it. Or if they did, they would be so hypnotized by our society that they'd be crazy enough to still be doing it.
What are your thoughts about how money then relates to longevity and all of that? Because on one hand, you have people that say that, well, people that have money are able to eat cleaner foods or higher quality foods or to get the medical care that they need. I mean, I think just recently, one of the Rockefellers just died, right? The patriarch, I think he was 104 or something like that. So what are your thoughts about how money relates? Is it because it makes people happier? Or does
it makes them happier, and they don't have what's called learned helplessness. Almost all of us have learned helplessness. If you take a rat and put him in water, And don't show them any examples of anything escaping. They will swim for about 15 minutes and die. If you show them one rat that, before he goes in, that stayed in the water and someone grabbed him out, then they'll swim for a day or two because they believe someone might pull them out. Hope is what saves the life. But because we learned hopelessness in our schools, in our jobs, in our news, there we go. We learn that we die at a certain age, and that's the way it is, and you better have Medicare, and you better have this and everything. Fear is what kills people.
Mindset, right?
Mindset is all important. So, and now when people say, well, I think positively, but then they say it's not working. Well, look, they've just made an affirmation, and a negative affirmation is 4 times as powerful as a positive affirmation. In the same way, you go to Vegas, it takes a lot of energy to build one of those casinos. How much energy does it take to take a wrecking ball and knock the sucker down? Doesn't take much energy. Same thing with words. My mentor called it the big fat mouth, and it gets people in trouble.
So in terms of affirmations, what other affirmations, if people want to do, like what are typical things that people want to improve in their lives? Their health, their wealth, their happiness, things like that? And what would you suggest for people? Would they create different affirmations they would do every day, or how would that work, do you think?
You know, there's a variety of them, and I can send you a list that a friend of mine made out for himself personally. I can send it to you personally. I don't want to interfere with his flow and release it to the public, except for some of them. But the point is that they are not set in stone. Any affirmation works. But here's a very important one. I am willing to accept whatever I ask for. Most people won't, and let me give you a classic example. The last time I decided that I was out of money and I needed some money, I was at a ranch in mid-Texas, and I asked, I get paid just for breathing. So I wrote it for 3 days, and I go to my mailbox, and I got a check, I swear to God, $15,000 in the mail. Totally unexpected, out of the blue. I almost fell over when I got it. Well, I called my friend who gave me the affirmations, and I emailed him. I bragged about it. So I bragged about this, and then there was a maid at the ranch I was staying in, and she had seen Oprah and The Secret and all of that. So I was telling her, do this affirmation. Well, she went home, and she had to be rescued by the fire department because her breathing stopped. I never connected that until my friend who gave me the affirmations in the first place, and is a very wise man, phoned me up to say hello and said, I want to tell you something, though. Be very careful about giving people an affirmation like that. You're an old yogi. You can get away with this. But if you say, I get paid just for breathing, some people would rather stop breathing. And I said, oh, my God, it just happened. I'm glad she was rescued by the fire department in the nick of time. So that's an important affirmation. I am willing to accept exactly what I asked for, and most people, I will definitely tell you, are not ready to accept it. That's why they don't have it.
Interesting. You know, there's a interesting, I came from, during my high school years, was very much into Christianity, just really, really into it. And it was just fascinating because a lot of people would say things like, oh, well, I'll just, I'll pray that God will show me, if I should date this person or not this person, or if I should take this job or not take this job. And then after a while, it began to be like people wouldn't do anything without God first telling them what to do, right? They were always seeking an answer from God before they would even eat breakfast in the morning. It was just getting to be kind of ridiculous. And so what I started understanding later, even within the Christian realm, was just doing what you are wanting to do, because even in the Bible it says God will grant you the desires of your heart, so doing what you want to do and then asking God to bless it or not bless it, rather than asking his sort of favor on everything and showing you if you should do this, that, or the other. Because one of the things I learned from, he was saying that God doesn't necessarily care about who you marry. He cares what kind of husband or wife you are. He doesn't care what job you take. He cares what kind of worker you are. And I thought, wow, that's such an interesting kind of take on this. And I'm thinking about you when you're talking about this. I wonder if it would be better and more in alignment with karma or whatever if someone were to say, instead of, I attract money, would it be better, do you think, for someone to say something like, show me the way so that I have the awareness in order to serve the most people so that I can make the most money?
That's excellent. In fact, my favorite thing, I happened to see it in the Reader's Digest years ago, is if you can think of something that's good for you, God can think of something even better. So I've always gone by that. I went with the timing. And look, I have met 4 mentors, Swami Nitty Gritty, Master Chen, Rabbi Michael Shapiro, and Adnan Sarhan, all from 4 different religions that showed me that they all had superpowers and taught me that I too have those superpowers if I will just believe in myself. And in fact, in the Bible, it says that we too will have the same powers as Jesus had. It says so right in the Bible there. I take it at its word. And those powers included when a Roman centurion came up to Christ and said, you don't have to put your hand over me. You don't have to do anything. All you got to do is say the word, and verily it is so. And he said, surely you have more of an understanding in all of Israel than anybody else does. It is done. And it was done automatically at that time and space. So we have these powers, and we don't use them.
Yeah, because it does say in the Bible somewhere in the New Testament that I think it was Jesus that said this, that you will do greater things than you have seen me do, or something to that effect.
Greater things. That's an interesting phrase if you really take it at its worth. If you really take it all the way and he really meant what he said, and I believe he did, then that's an amazing statement.
Yeah, fascinating. So,
I don't believe it's a mistranslation.
Well, we have then, this all affects health as well, and it also affects the kind of life that we want to live. So we can, in order to get out of the negative thinking in terms of health and healing, or if someone's in a negative financial situation, or if someone's unhappy with their spouse or their job or whatever, we have the ability to manifest a brand new life.
In the Walkabout books, the chief told the author of one of the most popular books that you can be instantly sick and instantly well. Well, the person who wrote that book they had a Western mindset, so they couldn't believe that. So they said, that means that I can, as soon as I start thinking, that instant I start to get sick, and then I can start to get well when I get to that instant. That's not what the man said. He said instantly well and instantly sick. And so that's really the way it works, because quantum time, there is no time, and so it can happen instantaneously, as it does in many mesmeric and hypnotic states and in synchronous states. Well, I've actually materialized physical objects, which when I was perplexed about it, my mentor said, why can't you accept a simple manifestation, and stomped out of the restaurant. We were leaving anyway, but
angry. Well, it's the challenging part too about something like that is that, instantly healthy or instantly well, I'm just thinking people are thinking, well, what if, you break your arm and you've got so much pain in your arm, or you break your leg and, you have this physical thing where, it's different than like a stomach ache or something that, but then again, wouldn't it be possible to be able to break your arm and not feel pain? Maybe.
But not only that, but heal it instantaneously. Now, in the West, we don't do that. In the East, it's much more common. Here, cynics have said, go to Lourdes. You don't see people throwing their artificial legs away and things like that. But in India, it's a different story.
Yeah, there was a video going back a while ago that was really interesting. Gosh, it was, I'm going off memory. You know how on Facebook you see all these videos that going around, and a few years ago I saw something where there was like a pediatrician, and I think they were in India, if I'm not mistaken, and a child had broken his arm. And it wasn't a contusion, so the bone wasn't piercing through the skin or anything, but his arm was just looked like an S. It was just all messed up. And the doctor did some sort of weird technique over the arm and was sort of closing his eyes and kind of praying and kind of going back and forth on his arm like that. And the kid's arm went back like all the bones snapped back into place, and then he was able to pick things up with it. It was almost like he just miraculously healed his broken arm. It's just amazing.
On the internet, in the old books, I read about 20 or 30 of those cases every day. And I select certain ones that are more readable for my superpowers and my mesmerist blog entries that are eventually going to go into a book. But this is a common thing. It can be done and was being done. 100 years ago, we had much more open ideas about what reality was. Schooling was done to put that in its place. The Rockefeller Foundation, the Ford Foundation, and the Morgan Foundation, they all came together and decided that people didn't need to know this stuff. They were going to get unruly. If they knew they had just as much power as us, where's our power go? Mm-hmm. So they put school into a place. There's 2 excellent books that I urge people to read. One is called Deschooling Society by Ivan Illich. The other one is The Underground History of American Education by John Taylor Gatto. Those are eye-openers and show how we have been programmed to find our highest level of failure, not our highest level of success. Mm-hmm. Those 2 books alone will convince people that something's going on and that we have been fed a bill of goods.
Yeah, because just about everything you're learning in school is untrue, and it seems to be like, everything that you're taught, from history to science to politics to religion to health and everything else. It's so bizarre, right? That they're teaching our kids all of these things that just aren't true.
Well, look at how they've pulled over genetics over our eyes. There is no such thing. The genes are there, but they're intermediate places. At one time, they used to say it was the enzymes that did everything. And then they decided, how can you patent enzymes? There's not as many to go around. Well, there is estrogen. That's true. Mm-hmm. They figured a way to take candle soot, and turn it into hundreds of types of estrogen because they could sell it. You can't do that with progesterone, but you can with estrogen. But with genes, it's unlimited, and you can patent them all. You can patent them and make money on a gene. And in genetics, they actually have its substantial equivalent. It's not equivalent. So that's why we're having so many toxic reactions to GMOs, unless you could theoretically mesmerize yourself above that. But that takes energy. Better to just avoid the food and save your affirmations for better things.
Now, what would be some other steps someone could take to increase their ability to manifest things in their life, other than what we've talked about? Are there any other? There's got to be a lot more people can do, right?
Biography. In fact, if you read about people who have done it, then you learn. One time, Swami Nitty-Gritty was in a group of us, and he said, okay, you're driving down the road. There's a car in front of you. Do you pass them? Do you put on your brakes? Or do you follow behind them? And everybody eventually says you pass them. And he says, why did you pass them? Well, after all kinds of wrong answers, he said, because you were told you could do it. And that's the same with levitation, with superpowers, with making money. We were not told we could do it. Because if someone says, I'm having trouble making money, they already said an affirmation, but they've said it because other people say the economy is bad, you're not an unlimited person. Mm-hmm. I mean, think of all the negative things you encounter from your relatives, your friends. You're going to go for something and be something in life, and they tell you, oh, no. The economy is so bad. You can't do that. Trump's president, Barack Obama's president, someone's president. Right. Somebody is messing you up somewhere. You can't do it.
Yeah. It's a lot of programming from our friends and family, that's for sure, and the media too. So it would probably be a good idea to cut yourself off from people that want to bring you down then.
That's right. And be positive. You don't have to eliminate them totally, but as soon as... to me, when a person has negative things, it's like they want to come into your house wearing muddy boots. So you don't reject them. You say, look, you're welcome on my white carpet, but you must take off those muddy boots. Until you're ready to take those boots off, you're not allowed in my house. So you're talking that's the way to take it, because if we reject someone else, we reject ourselves, and we'll get in trouble that way. Our own conscience knows better.
Interesting. So what are your thoughts about, you were just talking about staying positive, and, for people to do that, I find that a lot of times it's easy to get into a mindset. This is something that I've been working on a lot lately is, determining the state that you want to be in. So, you can choose to be a positive impact or a positive force in the world, or you can choose to be negative. You can choose any of those things that you want. And a lot of times what happens is that people sort of wake up and they go about their day in a sort of neutral position. And then if something good happens, they're in a good mood all day, or if a series of bad things happen, then they're in a bad mood all day. What are your thoughts about how to determine the state that you're going to be in, and keep that high vibration, almost like a power generator, like a generator just produces power. It produces its own energy. And in order for us to do the same thing, if we just go out around neutral every day, we're not going to be able to, we're going to be sort of taking on the emotions of other people or of situations that happen that are good or bad, rather than generating that energy ourselves, right? So what are your thoughts about how to do that for people?
Focus. Focus is the main thing. And we're not taught to focus. We're in a time of sound bites and things like that. It takes focus and discipline. If you focus and discipline on it, every time you have a negative thought, you block it. And by the way, neutral thoughts are okay. They don't get you in trouble. It's the negative thoughts that get us in trouble. So if we just think nothing but positive thoughts, and here's one way to do it. If you really believe this, for every negative thought I have 3 positive thoughts. If you believe that, guess what? You're ahead of the game.
Okay, so you consciously are aware of, if you're in a negative state, and then you make yourself do 3 positive thoughts.
Yep, I learned that from my good friend there who's so successful. He even does it for everything. It's like if you get out of a relationship, he said, for every one that goes out the front door, 3 come in the back door.
That's awesome.
If you want to handle 3.
Yeah. So, biographies, looking and learning how other people are doing these things, staying away from people that are going to be giving you negative information. And that could include family, friends, media, the news, whatever you think the news is, these types of influences, right? And then reading about people that have done what you're trying to do, and then doing the affirmations, and that's a pretty good recipe.
Yes, if you can get a book called The Mighty Atom about Joseph L. Greenstein, that's a good type of book to read. This guy could bite through dental mirrors. He could bite through railroad spikes. He was the strongest man in the world at one time, and he was only something like 5'4".
Wow. What year was this?
He probably went on cosmic vacation in the 70s, maybe, and he lived a long life. He was a complete vegetarian. His hair was so strong, he hung from an airplane by his hair and was flown around. And then he actually kept an airplane from flying off the ground by tying a rope to his hair to the plane, and the plane could not fly off the ground. Another strong man tried it. He warned him this is not an easy trick, and his entire scalp was ripped off his head, and he died instantly.
Oh, my gosh. What is this guy's last name? Is it Adam something?
Greenstein, Greenstein. One of the most remarkable, inspiring persons you will ever find. In fact, he was supposed to die when he was a young boy, and he overheard the conversation, so he ran away into a circus. And he climbed under there, and a man beat him up. And his eyes were so swollen he couldn't see who the perpetrator was. So a strong man had him listen to the voices, beat the other guy up, and said, if you want to come travel with me, go get permission with your parents, and you can travel with me. So he went home and packed up stuff like he had gone home, lied about permission from his parents, and disappeared into India, where they went cross-country, studied with yogis, all kinds of people, ended up in Houston, Texas. The man cured him by having him do exercises of his tuberculosis. And when he got to Houston, he had told him previously that he was going to find he had a strength inside him that he had no idea would be there. Well, someone shot him close range right through the forehead, and the bullet wouldn't go through his head. Then he realized he had super strength, and he started not only bending horseshoes like he already was doing, but ripping them in half.
Oh my
and anyway,
gosh.
the book can explain it ever so better than I can if people will read that bio. It's a remarkable book.
Yeah, I'm saying here, Joseph Greenstein.
That's him.
1893, and he lived till 1977, better known as The Mighty Atom, ATOM, like your name.
Yeah, it's a delightful book. A delightful book.
Yeah, and there's a YouTube video about this guy. How funny.
You bet. And then another example is, what is his name? The founder of Aikido. Right now his name is escaping me. But anyway, that's another good read, too. Those kind of people exist. Or look at Arrigo. Here's a man in South America that was just cutting people's cataracts out with a rusty knife with no anesthesia, no medicine or anything, and he did thousands, about hundreds at least, maybe not that many. And I knew a guy named Henry Belk of the Belk Department Stores who was one of the prime investigators. He used to keep me informed at a metaphysical bookstore in Houston, Texas, about who was real and who was fake. And definitely Arrigo, the surgeon of the rusty knife who operated on the president of Brazil's son, the rock and roll star of the country, everybody. And when they put him in prison, they just left the gate open and had the people line up in prison to see him.
He was like John of God then, kind of.
I have my reservations about John of God because I haven't seen the results off of it. And Arrigo did it absolutely for free. There was no money exchange whatsoever.
How do you spell Arrigo?
But John of God, I'm open. I just see signs of. I see people who supposedly were healed and then they end up dying. Like Wayne Dyer and people like that.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, but I'm open. He might have it. People do have it. And if most people keep it silent, those type of Swami Nitty-Gritty, he preferred no notice. He didn't want newspapers. He didn't want TV. And he had superpowers. I was here when he sent an earthquake from Carpinteria, California to Mexico. And a friend sitting beside me, when the earthquake started here, he stood up in the middle of the restaurant and slammed his hand down on the table and yelled, "Go away and play somewhere else." Everybody in the restaurant turned around like, "What the hell?" And then it stopped immediately. And my friend sitting next to me, Christina Ponzo, said, "Oh my God, I dreamed there was a terrible earthquake in Mexico last night." Well, in the morning she got the call. It was that big earthquake in Mexico City. And when we asked Swami Nitty-Gritty about why he sent it there, he said they needed the work.
Oh, my gosh. That's crazy.
So, when you live in a reality like that, it's hard to accept a linear reality every day of my life.
Right.
Now, because of my programming, I'm stuck in it, too. This doesn't happen to me every day. I've had materializations. I can list dozens, maybe hundreds of miracles, just like I just told you, that I've been witness to, but on an everyday thing, I'm still stuck in our programming and our news, and I do my best to keep separate from it. No more TV, no more radio, no more music, actually.
Really?
We listen to only The Prisoner of Love, which is available on the internet, and that's about it, except for an occasional Michael Jackson dance tune to dance to.
Yeah. So no music, huh? Is that something new that you're doing?
It's been a long time. At one time, I went for an entire year listening to nothing but The Prisoner of Love, which gave me superpowers of sort. I materialized all kinds of things. I put it in. I managed a health food store, and I complained I had no girlfriend. The gym was closed, and I wasn't making any money. So Swami Nitty-Gritty said, put the recording and play it in the health food store. Well, the business went up. A girlfriend showed up out of nowhere. A guy comes across the street the first night and said, "By the way, I'm opening the gym up next door again." I said, "Well, last time they had it, they didn't have any free weights." "Oh, I'm taking care of that." It turned out he was a major bodybuilder that was even in a movie with Tom Selleck.
Oh, wow.
And he was opening it up, and I went the next day and joined that gym.
Wow.
Now, one final story to show how this is possible. When I came back from Hollywood one day where I used to go buy magazines at like 3 in the morning at an all-night stand and came back, and I thought, why don't they have a magazine stand like this in Carpinteria, California? So I went to the bank. I was 5 minutes early. I sat on the stoop and started meditating, and I opened my eyes, and across the street was a sign, Bills, Novels, and News. And I went, what the heck? So I ran across the street, and I asked Bill, how long have you been open? 40 minutes. Why? And then I realized there was a power there that I wasn't accessing. So I decided I don't want to work out at the gym anymore. I'm not going to work out for the next half a year. I want them to build gym bars and things at the end of Linden Street by the beach so I can work out down there in the fresh air and swim and work out there. Well, I went to the health food store, and a guy came in and said, are you going to get your money back? I said, what do you mean? They're closing the gym, so they're giving you refunds. So I got the refund for the half of the year, and within 6 months, the monkey bars were built at the end of Linden Street, exactly where I wanted them.
No way. Wow.
So that's how it can happen. Now, I don't do that all the time, but when I do, it's hot.
Wow, that's pretty cool. Well, we got 2 other questions. Questions are coming in on Facebook a lot, but we'll just take 2 more. These are back to sort of some health questions that people have. Ashley Seay says, I'm not sure where to listen to the show. Ashley, the show will be posted probably in a few days. We're a little bit behind, so stay tuned to the website, to the front page of extremehealthradio.com, and you'll be able to listen to the show when it becomes available, or subscribe on iTunes and you'll get a notification right there on your phone. But she says, but I think my body is having problems absorbing nutrients and even water. I'm in a constant state of fatigue and slight dehydration, often having to turn to sports drinks to get my body to hydrate. What causes this and how to fix it? Interesting.
Mistiming. If you don't open the reservoirs in the Panama Canal at exact times, what do you get? You get the locks overflow, or they don't get the water and things like that.
Okay.
And then the other thing is cognitive shock. A cognitive shock is something that you had a problem with, and then it has a problem. Like, say you're filling out your income tax, and suddenly your bowels aren't working, and it's someone's laughing here because that happened recently. We don't realize that many of our diseases, well, all of our diseases, have a shock that show in the color realm of either black, gray, brown, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, or white. Those are the only color shocks you can possibly have. It's called the Dome of Many Colors by yogis, and they have to do with the traumas that we're subjected to. So you can have one instance in your life, and in the womb, usually it first starts, and it keeps on occurring over and over like a time-release capsule throughout your life in exact mathematical, numerological occurrences. So something that happened at 58 days in the womb will perhaps happen at 58 months or 58 years or 58 seconds in resonance. The whole idea of, like, if you have a gong will sound a gong like a gong, even if it's 1 inch or what you call it, and you can match the beats like in tuning guitar strings with the same thing. Well, our bodies have the same capacity of resonance to do that.
So
unfortunately, that's where we get our traumas from. Yeah. So this person, I would ask them what color they would think of. I would trace down the color that they had, and they could do that themselves by buying my book on color and know all about what those colors do. We've talked about this before. And then put their body in time. And that would be the 2 things I would do. Anything else would be a patchwork here. Like, you could get water moving in your liver, but maybe not in your spleen. You could get something moving in your colon, but maybe not in your brain, blah, blah, blah.
Interesting. Yeah. It's a bummer she has to turn to sports drinks. I'm not sure just to get her body to hydrate. So it sounds like
in emergencies, they can work.
Yeah.
They can work, but that mineralization is in plant-based just as much as it is any place else.
Interesting. Okay.
Contrary to popular belief, by the way, those inorganic minerals are absorbable. Look at Mr. Eatsall, who ate an entire Cessna airplane. Took him 2 years. Ate like 17 shopping carts, 16 bicycles, razor blades, a coffin, etc.
You know, it's funny you said that. I just saw a video this morning of a guy, and I think it's somewhere down in Mexico, but he's addicted to eating, and he's been doing so for 20 years. Bricks. Somehow I don't know what he does, but somehow he breaks up part bricks and eats bricks. It's just crazy.
I read about him. Yeah. You know, my son had a friend that used to intimidate people. Like, he'd go in a bar and someone would give him the stink eye. So he would order a half pint of booze while he was looking at him. He would chug-a-lug it down out of the bottle, and then he would eat the bottle. No fight ensued, I guarantee you.
He would eat the glass?
Eat the bottle. And that's done, nightclub acts are done regularly in other places of the world where they eat bottles and eat glasses. If you look at Mr. Eats It All, ate razor blades on a daily basis. Ironically, he believed, so he couldn't digest bananas.
Is that right?
Yeah, look him up. He's got lots of YouTubes on Mr. Eats All, and he's even in Wikipedia.
Oh, my gosh. Okay, final question from Mr. Adam Wasden. He says, I got this impossible zit on the inside of one of my butt cheeks. Any supplement for that?
Well, impossible, there's an affirmation right there.
I know, I was just thinking about that. Yeah.
And by the way, when people say all the time, you know they're in trauma. If they say 99% of the time, they have a foothold. They can get away. But 100% of the time means, all the time means future, past, present.
Right.
You can't escape from a word trap like that.
Right.
But in the butt, obviously, that is a zone 3 organ. Our bodies are divided into what's called 3 gunas, 3 doshas, whatever you want to call them. They go from the rib cage up to the brain, they go to the abdomen, and they go to the butt on down to the feet. And so you know it's going to be a zone 3 food. So to take care of something like that, I would take a zone 3 food, a cleansing food such as a beet, perhaps, a dextrinized beet where you cook it in the oven till it sugarizes. Then you'll get the fructose that will clear that out. That's one possibility. You could also use various external things, but basically the body's on time and it's releasing toxins through the 3rd kidney, which is the skin.
So with pimples and this person, so it matters where the pimples are, right? Obviously.
It sure does. In fact, you'll find an acupoint tied into it. Could be a gallbladder problem. If fats aren't being handled correctly, it goes right there on the butt. There's a butt point right in the groove of the butt there that you can actually energize the gallbladder from. You know, the stomach time, you got stomach 36 and the knee. You have points all over. All of those acupuncture points, plus the 8 extraordinary points, plus the microacupuncture systems all say something. You don't have a mole, you don't have a pimple, you don't have a rash in a place that doesn't have a resonance with another part of the body, including the brain. Most people, dental problems, they come from the colon. The teeth don't cause the problems with the heart. The colon causes the problem with the teeth, and then it gets passed on from the teeth. All teeth problems are a colon problem.
Yeah, so it reflexes and the body's all interconnected. That's so crazy.
If you look at the jaw bones, where the jaw hinges, that is the 2 flexors of the colon. The hepatic flexure and the splenic flexure are on either side. It's imagine a little yogi with his head is where your 3rd eye is. His shoulders go across your eyebrows. His knees cross at those places right at the jawbone. And then his feet are under your chin, the genitals are on the upper lip, and the anus is the bottom lip, and what they call the taint is your open mouth. All of those reflexes work. There's many of these microsystems, auricular therapy in the ears, iridology in the eyes, sclerology in the sclera, on and on and on they go, and they all mean something.
So do you think that if a zit is happening too, maybe he's eating too much sugar, or maybe his body's not processing it, or something like that, do you think?
Never sugar. The villain is going to be essential fatty acids. I guarantee you, they're the ones that generate the lactic acid.
Oh.
You know, you can actually cure yourself of deadly diseases by eating a pound of sugar a day. I don't recommend it because most people, it will set their blood sugar astray if they don't know exactly what they're doing. But in an emergency, a snake bite, you get bitten by a deadly snake, start to put that sugar down, or get yourself an electric shock from a battery to neutralize the poisons. There's various ways to take the boron, which is a toxic point in the nitrogen and boron together in a snake venom. And by the way, it's serotonin. Every deadly snake bite almost on Earth, every scorpion bite, every wasp sting, it's all serotonin. And serotonin is supposed to calm us down and make us go to sleep. Mm-hmm. I think they've got something mixed up there. I think they're telling us a lie. Yeah. They're giving us serotonin reuptake inhibitors to generate serotonin. Fortunately, it's not the serotonin it's working on. It's working on other things, but still not a good idea to take any drugs anyway.
Wow. Yeah. So interesting. Wow. Okay. So people can find you, Mr. Bergstrom, at SunSync Nutrition. Is that the best place, do you think?
Actually, solartiming.com is the best place. That's free. All the books are for sale there too, and information on consultations, everything else. SunSync Nutrition is $99 one-time charge. I have, I'm up to pretty close to 600 blogs, maybe past that by now, and lots of information. The color recycling video is an important thing on there. How to figure out the exact timing. When people start to figure out that timing, by the way, you don't have to be totally exact. At first, all you want to do is eat your tree foods in the morning, your grass foods and your vine foods in the middle of the day, your root foods at night, and the animals that accompany them. So a cow is going to eat from the mid-range. They're going to be a midday food. Your chickens from the mid-range. Your fish and maybe rabbits eat carrots out of the ground. They're going to be more nighttime foods. If you follow this pattern, automatically, not only will your health improve, but I know people who have tripled their calories and lost weight. This is something Oprah, right down the road, needs to know instead of going through the pain of restricting her food with her weight loss program she's initiated now.
Yeah, she just bought, I think, a huge portion of Weight Watchers, I think, right?
That's right. And I've seen people go astray there. Now, she may be smarter than some people and know how to not abuse the Weight Watchers, but I've seen people abuse that. But if she ate on time, her problems would probably start, especially if she found the cognitive shock behind why she's gaining weight in the first place. Mm-hmm. It's gas pressure. Just like a puffer fish puffs out, there used to be circus performers who would come on the stage emaciated, blow themselves up in front of your eyes, and then de-inflate themselves. We don't hear much about those.
No, definitely not. Definitely.
In fact, I've told people about that, and they go over to their chiropractor and said, "Is that guy nuts?" There's no such thing. But I assure you, I've even written a book called the Book of Bloat, which explains it in detail on how it was done and is done and can be done.
So all of your books are at solartiming.com. Is that correct?
All of them are there, yep.
Okay. And then if someone's interested in SunSync Nutrition, like you said, it's $99 one time, right? Just a one-time fee?
One time. And also a lot of the material in the books is on there, so it's a good deal. We have a capable company out of India running it now.
Oh, wow.
And I can also be accessed on Facebook. I can be accessed on, actually I've got an email too on solartiming.com. Actually it's adam@solartiming.com.
ATOM. Okay. And then SunSync Nutrition, just looking at it here, it has all of Adam's interviews, collective SunSync research over many decades, extensive list of FAQs, solar time calculator, complete food list, which is interesting because you can time your food list with the time of day. Then you've got the color recycling regeneration. You got a bunch of different healing combinations, powerful healing combinations, superfood list, circadian dictionary, place where you can plug in your location so you can get the exact solar time calculator going. Pretty cool. And the site looks great, too.
You say it a lot better than I could. That's great, Jason.
Yeah, you got a recipe book in there as well. I didn't mention that, so that's really cool.
Yeah.
That's some good stuff.
So anyway, that is up there, and only $99. There's all kinds of things there.
Awesome.
You know, a lot of times people have a yearly or a monthly, things like that. You don't have to keep up on it. Once you're there, you're there. You have a password. We gave you a complimentary one. And
yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, it's awesome. It's really, really cool resource for people. Awesome. Well, thank you, Adam, for being on the show and sharing your morning with us here.
Thanks for having me, and use those affirmations. I think, you know, you've already created a lifestyle that's going in your direction, so you must be doing something right.
Yeah. No, I do the affirmations. I do them quite often. I do them a lot. I do them probably a few times a week. And but now after listening to this, I think I might redo some of those affirmations. And maybe if you could send me that thing privately, and I'll add those to. I think I'm going to change my whole affirmation thing and start doing that, you know, kind of on a daily basis now. I think that sounds kind of fun.
You know, they work for me regularly, and my friend always used to tease me because I would only do it half-butted. Mm-hmm. I would hang out with him, and he was doing so well. He would be flying me back and forth to Hawaii on a regular basis and various places around the country. Uh-huh. And I would tell him, hey, I kind of fooled myself. I thought I would just not do the affirmation, and I'd just hang around with you and get the idea in my head about money. And now I'm in the same place. I'm hanging around with rich people, and I still don't have any money. And he said, don't let it bug you. You got you to Hawaii 6 times, didn't it? So, but then I started doing the affirmations, and I had a lot of results. Well, maybe I'll explain those next time we talk, because I think we're running out of time. Yeah,
that would be great. That'd be great. Feel free to make another scheduling too on our scheduling software. Just put it out maybe a month and a half, and we'll do it again. That'd be awesome to go through this again.
Okay, love to do it. Love awesome. Talking with you.
All right, thanks a lot, Adam. Hang on the line there really quick. We're just going to close out the show, and I want to make sure that I get the exact number for this show. This is going to be episode 520. So if you want to listen to the show, and I'm going to try to put some of those links, Deschooling Society, John Taylor Gatto's book, The Mighty Atom, and I'm going to look up the founder of Aikido book, as well as the Origo Rusty Knife Surgery. I took a little bit of notes, so we'll put some of the links that we talked about on the show. If you like what we're doing and like Adam Bergstrom and like the content that you're hearing here, do us all a favor, and share the show with your friends. And I think that would be helpful to them. And I think they can get some really great benefits out of everything that we talked about today. So if you like what we're doing, consider sharing our show either on Facebook or YouTube or wherever else you want to share it. We would be very grateful for that. So we appreciate it. We love you guys. Let us know if we can ever help, and we will catch you guys on the next episode. I have to say, I have been absolutely loving this product by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar called Good Morning, Good Evening Qigong. If you want to listen to the interview we did with Tristan, you can go to extremehealthradio.com/127. And Qigong is a great way to de-stress the body. And as you know, there's a huge component to disease caused by stress. And stress is a huge factor in how we live our lives and the amount of energy we have and the amount of vitality we have. And so, Dr. Shade, what do you think about Qigong?
People come to me and they're really sick and they got this blown out neurological system and all this toxicity. And I tell them, you need to do Qigong, Tai Chi. You need to do these things that settle down and restore your neurology, because it puts together all the parts. It puts you back into that state where you can start to detoxify. And so I highly, highly recommend all that.
And what about you, Kit Campbell? What do you think about Qigong? Do you like it as well?
Qigong is amazing. And the reason that I believe it to be amazing is everything here is energy. That is a scientific fact, if there ever is one. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually drawing energy into your body. Your intention, whatever your intention is behind any action, will determine the level of energy, type of energy that you absorb into your body. So your intention behind is very important, just like thought. So when you're practicing Qigong, you're actually bringing energy in and you're bringing out the stuff that might be a bit stale. With Tai Chi, it's totally different. The energy runs underneath the skin because it's more of a martial. This is the Chinese understanding, by the way. It's more of a martial art. So Qigong is very, very good for bringing that energy into the body, and just fantastic.
If you're interested in picking up this Qigong course by Tristan Truscott and Peter Ragnar, go to extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. That's QIGONG. And you can learn more about it. There's a great video on that page, and you can learn more about it on that page. And I highly, highly recommend this product. I love it myself, so go ahead and check that out. extremehealthradio.com/Qigong. So there you go, Mr. Adam Bergstrom, episode 520. What do you guys think of him? Somebody wrote in a while back, I forget who it was, someone wrote into our email and said that they love listening to Adam because they just feel so, like their outlook, they feel so bright and so happy, and their life is so much better. They just feel so hopeful and they feel so good when he talks. And I have to say the same thing. You know, he's always a mood elevator, isn't he? I think that he's just such a unique and awesome guy. I really like what he talks about, and you should check out his website. The Sunsync Nutrition is really interesting stuff. And what I like about it too, even though I do follow a specific diet, I change around and things. But you know, if you were to apply the principles that he's talking about, just eating on time, you can apply it to ketogenic, you can apply it to paleo, you can apply it to raw, vegan, vegetarian, primal. You know, there are all these different diets that you can apply to it. So it's less about the diet itself, but more about when you eat the food. So it seems to make sense. You know, it really does in terms of, you know, when you eat the food. It really does make sense to me. But I don't know why. It makes sense. You know, the angle of the sun and the trees that are high up get the first rays of the sun of the day. And then as the sun rises, then you're going to be getting more of the sun rays directly on lower bushes and things like that. And then finally, as the sun sets, you know, you're going to get the sun on the root, or, you know, the root vegetables will get it through, what does he say? Not osmosis, but through infrared. And that would include, you know, fish and things underneath the ground as well. Seems to make sense. I kind of do it intuitively now, now that I kind of know about it. But he's got some really cool things. He's got a color therapy thing on here. Really, really cool. I just love Adam and what he's doing. So I hope you guys enjoyed that show. I really do. Hopefully it helped you, and hopefully we got to all of your questions there on Facebook. We had Donna. We had a bunch of them, but I asked Donna, Alex, Ashley, and Adam questions about their health to Adam, so hopefully that helped. And stay tuned for more shows coming from us. We're going through some changes in terms of scheduling the shows, so we're got all these kind of weird pockets right now. So we're going to be tightening up our schedule in terms of when we do shows and release them and all of that. So stay tuned. Best thing to do is probably to rate, review, and subscribe if you can on iTunes. If you guys can do that, that would really help us a lot, and we would greatly appreciate it. If you like the show and you're a longtime listener and you enjoy what we're doing, it really does help us if you leave a review on iTunes. So consider doing that if you like us and want to continue listening to what we have going on here. So we would appreciate that. Thank you for visiting our store and supporting us via our store. Thank you for all you patrons who are supporting the show every month. Wow, without you guys, we could not do the show. You know who you are. Thank you so much. It really does help us a lot when you support us on a monthly basis. So if you like what we're doing and want to donate $1, $2, $10 a month, or whatever you can afford, consider doing that. We would greatly appreciate it. You can cancel at any time. If you have a Facebook account and you want to sign up to Patreon, it literally takes about a minute to set up an account, and the money comes out only once a month. So at the beginning of the month, you know, $1 or $2 comes out of your account. It helps support the show. And thank you for that. Also, thank you guys for supporting us via Amazon too. For if you haven't done this before yet, this is something cool that I put together. All you have to do is go to our website one time, go to extremehealthradio.com, and on the right-hand side, there's a link for Amazon, a big banner. And if you go below that, there's some text. If you drag that text, click and drag, and hold it and drag it to your desktop, it'll create an icon. And then that icon gets put on your desktop, and all you have to do then for any future Amazon purchases, click on that icon. It'll open up your browser, whether you're on a Mac or a computer, PC, and that will go through our affiliate link, and that will help support the show. So we get a support no matter what you buy on Amazon. It could be anything, bikes, fitness equipment. It doesn't have to be health related. You can buy anything on Amazon, and that will support the show. So if you can do that one time, that way you don't have to remember to go to our show every time you make a purchase on Amazon. You just do it once, and then every purchase you make through the icon on your desktop in the future helps support the work that we do. So you guys rock. Thank you for that. Stay tuned for more shows, like I said. And just to let you know, too, we're going to be launching an academy here pretty soon. So if you want to dive deeper into the work that we do and get some really practical how-to information and join an academy with other people in a private membership community, you can check out the Extreme Health Academy, and you can learn more about what we have to offer. We're going to be launching that pretty soon in the summer of 2017, so stay tuned for that. If you want to get on the waiting list and be offered some really great bonuses and discounts for being on the waiting list, we're going to be launching that. So make sure to sign up and be on the waiting list for the Academy. So we love you guys. Thank you guys all. We appreciate you so much. And let us know if we can ever help, and we'll catch you on the next show.
No material on this blog is intended to suggest that you should not seek professional medical care. Always work with qualified medical professionals, even if you educate yourself in the field of live food, nutrition, and alternative medicine. I'm not a doctor, nor am I offering readers medical advice of any kind. None of the information offered